Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul, and in this RedGamingTech.com video, we're going to be discussing and analysing tech news, which as usual has popped up in the past 24 or so hours. I hope you're all having an amazing day and prepping for a fun Christmas. I'm not on camera for this video because, quite frankly, it's absolutely chaos as I prepare let's just say numerous pieces of content for over the Christmas period, including a pretty lengthy analysis of the Xbox Series X, which should be up tomorrow, so hopefully you will check back on the channel if you're interested in that. But anyway, getting on to today's video, there is an awful lot of news. Several of you actually emailed me / DM'd me or what have you this first piece of news, and that is the RX 5600 XT, as it's had several benchmarks leaked. I'd like to thank videocards.com who are posting this article, but also they've received the tip from Rogame, and basically he was scouring online databases for benchmarks, and he discovered several entries which appear to be the RX 5600 XT. I say appears to be because unfortunately it doesn't specifically list the card by name, but the listing is for 6GB of GDDR6, and given the performance figures we're seeing, it doesn't really make sense for it to be anything else. AMD have not exactly been frivolous with 6GB cards of late. I'm not going to read out all of the performance metrics because, quite frankly, you can see them yourself, but the long and the short of it is this easily outperforms the 5500 XT, around 35-ish%, depending on the title, of course, and furthermore, it will be nipping on the heels of a GTX 1080. It's closer to a 1070 Ti, and also will outstrip, most likely, a Vega 56, particularly when it comes to efficiency. It's kind of interesting that AMD are also opting to launch this card, at least in theory, with only 12 GBps memory. If I had to speculate, this is in an effort so that people can't just be like, oh, well, we're just going to crank the clock frequencies up as much as possible and get even more performance, which may end up, I wouldn't say making the 5700 obsolete, but depending on the pricing of this card, let's just say much less tempting. Videocards.com have also given a couple of pieces of information regarding the card, although this is according to their information, who said it is 6GB, 12 GBps. He said it's a new GPU, not Nave 14. This information is actually contrary, at least if this tweet is accurate, to Igor's Lab, who say it's a cut down Nave 10. He says it's not necessarily laser cut though. He believes it's done via software / BIOS. So technically speaking, there's a good potential that you could soft mod the card by having a non-reference BIOS. Let's say that. He also said it could be Nave 10 LE or Nave 21. But he was told that the hardware was used in something else, but it does lack ray tracing. So it's kind of interesting that this is happening. At the moment, it's a very mysterious GPU, and apparently we're going to learn much more about this at CES 2019, which obviously takes place in January. And honestly, January is going to be a fascinating month because, actually the first quarter of 2020 is going to be a fascinating month. Very quickly, here's what I understand is happening in the first 3 months of 2020. We're apparently going to see a much deeper dive from Microsoft and Sony regarding their next generation consoles. We're going to see AMD formally reveal the second generation of Nave GPUs, and we're also going to see the RX 5600 launch. Allegedly, we're also going to learn many more details from Intel about their discrete efforts, and apparently as well, Nvidia may grace us with some information regarding Ampere. And speaking of Ampere, I want to segue into another piece of information. This is not exactly a huge amount of insight into Ampere, and that's once again putting it mildly. However, China Times have recently put out an article which seems to confirm that Orin, which is an upcoming SoC from Nvidia, and is of course for self-driving vehicles, and it looks like that's not going to launch until 2021/2022, that particular SoC is using the Ampere architecture. There was some confusion exactly what the architecture was, so it's 100% been confirmed now. It is Ampere. I don't think it's super surprising. After all, it does kind of make makes sense in terms of the time frame. And of course, Nvidia have also confirmed that they're going to be partnering very heavily with TSMC and not so much partnering so heavily with Samsung. Allegedly, the rumor is from the grapevine, and I've been hearing about this for a while now, that Samsung's 7nm processor is not quite up to par. So obviously that has basically forced Nvidia to really rely further on TSMC. I believe Amy recently covered that Jensen over at Nvidia confirmed that they're going to be really pushing for TSMC. And this actually ties in to a rumor that Ampere for desktop is being delayed or has been delayed. Originally, it was supposed to be launching in the first half of 2020. Igor's lab once again broke that information, and there were other reports that we may even see it in the first quarter of 2020, but now things get a little bit more ambiguous, and well, we all know that TSMC have been creaking a bit when it comes to 7nm manufacturing. I'm actually not super happy that Samsung are falling behind, because obviously more fabrication companies which are able to compete with one another equals good. So hopefully it won't push the price of the wafers up too much, but I guess we'll have to just wait and see over the next 12 months to see what the shape of the landscape is. So there are a couple of next generation console pieces of news I'd like to discuss, one of which is a little bit old, it's almost a week old. However, it's been blowing back up again recently on social media and the internet at large, and so I've decided to cover this because several people have emailed me asking my opinion, or messaged on Facebook, or DM'd me on Twitter, and so on and so on. So this first piece concerns Randy Pitchford, and he is a controversial figure in gaming, but he recently tweeted that he wasn't really that impressed with the Xbox Series X. He essentially said that Phil's team were making excuses in regards to Moore's Law, and that he just wanted the most powerful console available. This was in subsequent tweets that he also said that he wanted the best experience for both developers and gamers, and furthermore, he had nothing but love for Phil, and he really liked him as a leader. Now, it is worth noting that Gearbox are working, of course, on God Hand, which is a exclusive title for the PlayStation 5, although honestly I don't think Randy would try and throw Microsoft under the bus for that reason. However, there is some conflicting information whether studios outside of Microsoft's own first party even has a development kit. So this is really conflicting information because no one at, let's say, Capcom or, I don't know, Ubisoft or whatever is going to go on record and say, yep, we've got development kits, here's the specs. It's always, of course, going to be something like an anonymous post on NeoGAF or what have you, for obvious reasons. But there is conflicting reports because some developers who allegedly work at AAA studios are stating they don't have development kits, whereas then you have other pieces of information, for example, from Phil Spencer himself, who confirms that he's actually got an Xbox Series X in his own home. So it's kind of like a bit difficult to know in that regard. So it's potentially possible that Randy is not speaking from a position of knowledge, and then again, he also just may not be that impressed with the specifications of the machine. And here's the thing, there is a lot of conflicting information at the moment regarding what the specifications of the machines are. Indeed, it's even further confusing because there are two next-generation Xbox consoles that we know of. There is the Xbox Series X. Well, it's not been confirmed with the name, but it's Lockhart, and realistically it doesn't make sense for it to be anything else. And then, of course, there is Anaconda, or the console formerly known as Anaconda, which is Xbox Series X. We have heard from multiple sources now that that's got a 12 T-flop target, and officially, Both Sony and Microsoft have confirmed certain technical details of the consoles, like the fact that they have Zen 2 based processors, the fact that they've got super fast SSDs, and so on and so on. But overall, there is a lot of conflicting information, including even the amount of RAM in consoles as well. Several reports have said that the PlayStation 5 and the next generation Xbox have 16 gigabytes of memory, including Windows Central and their rather infamous leak of late, which states that the console also has 12 teraflops of performance. My issue, though, with 16 gigabytes of memory is that it would mean we would only see a 256-bit memory bus, which, if you couple that with even 16 Gbps modules, which aren't super common at the moment, 14 is much more common even on high-end graphics cards, but let's say even it was 16 Gbps, you would potentially have memory bandwidth constraints, because remember, you would likely need at least the low 50 number of compute units running at a pretty nippy clock speed to hit 12 teraflops. The RX 5700 XT is running a 256-bit bus, and it's only got 40 compute units, so the next generation console, the Xbox Series X, is allegedly way more powerful than this, and that's not even accounting for things such as, oh, I don't know, little things that don't really do anything for the console, I suppose, like, you know, the CPU. Yes, I'm being a bit silly, but you kind of get my point. So that's one of the reasons I'm still a bit skeptical on 16 gigabytes of RAM for the Xbox Series X. It's going to be fascinating, though, to see exactly what the next generation consoles are outfitted with. I do have some other information that I'll be going through, as I said, in an analysis series. The first one is going to launch tomorrow, and it's not going to be anything super technical. Instead, it's to get everyone onto the same page. But subsequent videos will be, and articles, will be much more technical and delve into things like the APU, what ray tracing is, what it will mean for consoles, and so on and so on. And we'll also be doing some comparisons regarding the PlayStation 5 and the previous generation. So definitely stick with us here if you would like that stuff. With all of that said though, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, then of course you know what to do. Give it a share on social media. And also comment below when you think Ampere is going to launch. Let's leave it down below in the comments, and then you can kind of check back when it finally launches to see if you were right or not. But with all that said, take care of yourselves. Bye for now.